Hey everyone, welcome to the Royce Reports. I'm your host Royce, and today we're going to discuss why Microsoft's so aggressive this console generation. Let's talk about it. This generation started off with a lot of people thinking that PlayStation was going to soar through the clouds while Xbox would be left in the dust. But something unusual happened, and that is Xbox and Sony are neck and neck. Why is that? In order to answer that question, we have to go back to 2013 during the Xbox One presentation, where people left that conference thinking only of one thing and one thing only.
TV experience. TV and movies. TV. Xbox. Watch TV. TV. Watch TV. TV remote. TV experience. TV. Sports TV. Anybody? TV. Xbox, go home. TV.
Something that Microsoft decided to do was take the gaming aspect of Xbox and remove it, which is something that a gaming console needs to be. Not the center of your living room, not a place for you and your grandma to sit down and watch The Price is Right. Well, I got something for you, Microsoft.
The price is wrong, bitch.
By Microsoft pushing the Xbox to be the central media hub for your living room, you're alienating a lot of your core audience who are focused on one thing, gaming. And that's just the beginning, because there's other things that they did to make it even worse, which one of them being DRM, always being online, always being connected to the internet. In order for Microsoft to ping to a server to make sure and verify that you own that game that you are playing. No more are the days of going to GameStop and trading in your games that you no longer want. You have to now go to a certified seller that Microsoft has approved of in order for you to even sell your games. And then on top of that, because the used game market doesn't allow for developers or publishers to make money anymore, they decided to put a used games tax on all used games that will then go back to the publisher and back to the developers, so that way they can make some money off of the used game market. And no longer could you just have a game that you didn't want to trade in. You had to now have a friend get their gamer tag, send them the code to download, and then they could play it. But that was it. That was the end of the line. You can no longer do anything with that game if you decide to do that. And because of how bad internet is, even to this day, a lot of people will lose access to it. They'll lose access to their whole system because it's not pinging to a server every single day. This is causing a huge disruption in the gaming market. So you're probably thinking like, okay, well, this should be easy for them to just remove, right? Couldn't they just take this out and not ship it with that DRM requirement? Well, you would think so, right? Well, not Major Nelson anyways.
We'll move on. But one final question that I did have for you is, what do you say to those people that don't have a good internet connection that want to buy an Xbox 360? Just like they asked the same question to Don.
Sure, I can say that when you say you don't have a good internet connection, you just need you could use a mobile. You could tether to your phone. So there's a lot of different options. We've talked about that.
You guys also have the option to disable. I know it's very simple to disable the 24-hour check-in and the one.
Do you? Are you on the development team?
No, I'm not.
Okay, so I think that's a little bold of you to say it's simple.
Now you're thinking about maybe there's an alternative route. Maybe there's a different means for me to go about this. Well, this is what they have to say to those people.
And fortunately, we have a product for people who aren't able to get some form of connectivity. It's called Xbox 360.
Right. So stick with 360. That's your message if you don't,
Well,
people don't like it?
if you have zero access
Yeah.
to the internet, that is an offline device. I
Yep.
mean, seriously, when I read the blogs and thought about who's really the most impacted, there was a person who said, hey, I'm on a nuclear sub.
Right.
And I don't even know what it means to be on a nuclear sub, but I've got to imagine that it's not easy to get an internet connection.
Once again, it's still not over. It keeps going downhill from here. Something else they decided to introduce was the price tag for the Xbox One. And what was that going to be? $500. $500 because Connect was now a requirement. Meaning you could not have your Xbox run without having the Connect plugged in and connected to your Xbox. It just would not operate. It was a base requirement. And that doesn't seem all bad, right? Well, when there's rumors of now the Xbox being less powerful than the PS4, it kind of is. And the reason being, because even though now the Xbox One is weaker than the PS4, on top of that, the Kinect is taking 10% of that GPU and utilizing it for itself. Meaning that developers cannot access 10% of the GPU because it is dedicated solely to the Kinect, which is required. And this is also on top of everyone realizing that the government is watching and listening to everything you're saying, which led to people being afraid of something like this. Xbox on. Hey, honey.
Huh? What?
I'm gonna go to the store. Do you need anything?
No, I don't need anything from the store.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure, Mom. I'm 30 years old. I think I could go to the store for something that I would want if I needed it. Fuck.
Okay, I love you.
Alright, see ya. What's going on, John? Hey, what's up, Mike? How you been? Yeah, it's been a while, man. You're on leave, right? Yeah, it's been a while. I was on vacation, so I was kind of, just relaxing with the family. Nice. How was the family? The kids are good? The kids, yeah, they're like the kids are freaking just tall. Yeah, they grew a lot since last time you saw them. Yeah. Yeah. Yo, what's up, Bill? What's going on, Mike? That's good. Last time I saw them, they're like this tall. Yeah, how are you and your wife? So, yeah, she ended up getting diagnosed, and we found out that she only has 3 more months. What the fuck? This guy's doing it again. This is the 3rd time today. Yo, Bill, come look at this. What? Oh, shit.
It is so gross. Oh, man, I'm not going to be able to watch My Little Pony the same anymore after this one. Not only did Microsoft just become its own worst enemy, but its primary rival, Sony, decided to use the backlash that they were receiving for the Xbox One conference and use it against them by doing the exact opposite of what they were doing. So, what does that mean? Well, what was Sony's main concern? Gaming. Gaming was a priority. Was DRM always required? DRM was not. How much did Sony sell the console for? $400. And how easy was it to trade games for Sony? Well, just in case you didn't know how, because we've been doing it since the fucking Stone Ages, Sony went and made a video for you on how to do it.
This is how you share your games on PS4.
Thanks.
Now, And the last thing I'd like to talk about concerning the Xbox One presentation is the design of the Xbox One itself. This thing is bulky. It is huge. This thing looks like a VCR. In fact, it could be used as a way to defend yourself from burglars. If someone breaks in and is trying to shoot you, you just slap the Xbox One to your chest, and there you have a bulletproof vest. Or if you want to use it as a melee weapon with the Kinect as a boomerang, you can go ahead and do that, because that's how useful these items are. These things are ugly, they're hideous, they're obnoxious. This is something that's supposed to be in the center of your living room, and it is such an eyesore. It's not sleek, it's not sexy. In fact, it's nothing like what the PlayStation 4 was. Now let's talk about what I think is the most important feature when it comes down to gaming, which is the games themselves. In order for us to compare these, I'm going to break it up into 3 sections. The first section is going to be the console launch exclusives that happened during the release of both of these consoles. The second one is going to be the first year in which these consoles were released. And the third is going to be the whole generation. So let's get into the console launch exclusives. The console launch exclusives that were available for the Xbox One on day one were games like Crimson Dragon, Dead Rising, Fighter Within, Forza Motorsport 5, Loco Cycle, Power Star Golf, Rise Son of Rome, Zoo Tycoon, and Killer Instinct. And the games that were available for the PlayStation 4 were Contrast, which was a timed exclusive, Killzone Shadowfall, Knack, Resogun, and Flower, which was also a PS3 video game. So when you compare these two launch exclusives, you can obviously tell that Xbox had a lot more to offer. And this is something that's also not talked about a lot, is the fact that these games weren't really that bad. These games were designed to show you what the future of these consoles looked like. So you had a huge variety coming from Xbox. You had all sorts of different types of games that you could get into. If you liked fighting, if you liked racing, if you liked action adventure, if you liked Kinect, there was something for you. Whereas PlayStation kind of just had its big game be Killzone Shadowfall, which is by no means a negative thing. Killzone Shadowfall was a game that wasn't the best, but it definitely showed you the power of the PlayStation 4 and what it was capable of. And now let's push back a little bit. Let's go back to the first year of these two consoles. And something that I want to touch on was that we're just looking at the exclusives alone. Obviously, there's third-party games that have come out during this time, like Battlefield 4, Call of Duty Ghosts, Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and these games are on both consoles, but that's not what we're really concerned about. We're concerned about the exclusives. But when it comes down to the PlayStation 4, all those games would run better on the PS4. Most games ran at 1080p, while the Xbox, if it was lucky enough, would run at 900p. And that was because of the power output that they're having an issue with, and because of that 10% GPU usage being dedicated to the Kinect. So, with all that said, let's look at the year ahead of both PlayStation 4 and Xbox One when it comes down to releases. During the first year, Xbox ended up having, on top of all those console launch exclusives, also had Halo, Spartan Assault, Kinect, Sports Rivals, D4, Dark Dreams Don't Die, Forza Horizon 2, Halo, the Master Chief Collection, Titanfall, Project Spark, and Sunset Overdrive. Now, PlayStation ended up having The Last of Us Remastered, Infamous First Light, Little Big Planet 3, and Infamous Second Son. So you look at that list and you're probably thinking like, okay, wow, like Xbox did have quite a bit released. And on top of that, you had games like Forza Horizon, which was a massive arcade game, and you had the Master Chief Collection, which honestly fell on its face and didn't work properly for 2 years. But when you look at the other games in comparison, you kind of get really nothing when it comes down with PlayStation. Yeah, Infamous Second Son was good, and Infamous First Light being kind of a DLC add-on that's standalone. It's weird. They didn't have anything else going for it. And that's when we have to talk about the end of the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4's life cycle and what they had to offer. And you look at this and you're probably thinking, wow, well, Xbox obviously has the lead. I kind of want to go over there because their release cadence and the variety of games that they offer is greater than what PlayStation 4 had at that time. But if you would have done that, you would have been a fucking idiot, because there was nothing. It was barren for Xbox. Xbox had games like, and PlayStation had games like I'm obviously exaggerating a little bit, but not by much. There was a huge issue going on within Xbox, and they stopped focusing on games. They just kind of just quit. So I want to show you this, and the only way I can show you this properly is by doing some quick Google searching. All right, so let's talk about the most accurate web page on planet Earth, and that being Wikipedia. And we're going to use this mostly to kind of show you what I'm trying to get across here. So we have a list of PlayStation 4 games. This is a list of games that were released for the PlayStation 4 console. There are currently 3,265 games across both lists. Both lists pertaining to A through L and M through Z. So keep that number in mind as we hop over to the list of Xbox One games. This is a list of Xbox One games planned or released either at retail or via download. There are currently 2,945 games on both parts of this list. So again, A to L, M to Z, 2,945 games, which you could tell is about over 200, about 200 or more on the PS4. So let's go over here to Gematsu, and let me scroll up here. And this is they did an excellent job at Gematsu here of kind of tracking all these exclusives for all these consoles. And here they have a chart that tells you, and it's color coded, what everything means. So you have full exclusive platform, exclusive console, exclusive timed exclusive, and so forth and so forth. We're not really going to be too worried about all of these colors. We're just going to be mostly kind of looking at the bulk of what was released exclusively for both these consoles. So we're going to scroll down here and we're going to go past these. These are the Xbox Series X and Xbox One cross-generation games, which I'm not going to include in this conversation. So here we go. Here are the games that were released exclusively on the Xbox One in some sort of way. So we're just going to scroll down here and kind of just check it out. Okay, yeah, this is not bad. Yep. There's a decent amount of green in here that I noticed, which means a timed exclusive of some sort. And that's how many Xbox One exclusives there were during this generation. Now I'm going to scroll back up and I'm going to take you over to the PlayStation 4. And here it is right here. And again, same exact setup, same exact color coding. These are the PS5/PS4 cross-generational games that we're not too worried about right now. Here we go, and now we're going to start and see how many games were exclusive to the PlayStation 4. Again, some green there, a lot of green. It's not too bad. So I'm not going to really stop and look at all the titles here. This is just a representation of what's really going on. Yeah, I'm still scrolling. All right, well, that's the end of that on the left cycle. Yep. At least I'm at the S's. But I'm keep going. T. I think we're at the end, and here we are. So there's a huge difference in the amount of exclusives released for these consoles. Now, as you can see, PlayStation had a lot more games than the Xbox. This is because PlayStation was investing in gaming, and not just having more games, but more quality. Some of those games that you saw earlier are considered some of the best games in gaming history. And not just that, but because of Japan, because of Sony's foothold in Japan, they were able to get Japanese support for their console. And with Xbox not really existing in Japan, despite them trying, they couldn't get those games. And they weren't exclusive per se on a classic front of you owning the studio or you owning the IP or paying for it. They were just exclusive because that's the only platform that they were gonna sell on. So yeah, it kind of sucked for Xbox, just for gaming that generation. But that doesn't mean that they didn't try. They did have games in development that a lot of people were looking forward to. Scalebound, Fable Legends, Phantom Dust are all examples of that. But they ended up meeting an untimely death due to mishandlement or misjudgment on everybody's part. But did Xbox really just quit? Were they done? They tried to come back. They tried to course correct. But at this point, it was a little too late. They got rid of the DRM. They got rid of the Kinect always being required. They tried to make a more powerful unit with the Xbox One X, but that didn't sell very well because people just didn't trust in the Xbox brand. So what do you do at this point? Well, you need to pretty much just sunset the Xbox. And who are you going to put in charge of that? Well, you're going to put head of Xbox, Phil Spencer.
Hi, it's Larry here of Xbox Live's Major Nelson. It has been a big week at Xbox. I'm here with Phil Spencer, who's the new head of Xbox. Phil, congratulations on the job.
Thanks, Larry.
You got a lot of work coming up. Let's talk about your new role. What are you going to be doing?
Head of Xbox. My role is really to drive the product vision for what Xbox is. You know, I come at this job as somebody from the games industry, running game studios. I think about our Xbox product and how we can really put the stamp of the gamer on this product, make sure it's gaming first. Obviously has great entertainment features for everybody, but my role is to bring everybody together and make sure we're focused on a consistent product vision.
Now, Phil Spencer, his original plan was to be the one to pretty much get rid of Xbox and slowly pull away. But because of the shift that was going on at Microsoft, and because of a new CEO coming in and taking over, that CEO, Satya Nadella, ended up asking Phil, why should we even bother keeping Xbox? And Phil and his team came back and they told him of a plan that ended up believing in, and is where we are heading to today. And that plan included things like being the most powerful console on the market, having backwards compatibility be a huge staple, having endless features that consumers would love and use and have an advantage over your rival. And not only that, but you need games. Xbox at this point was literally the console with no games. Everyone always said Xbox has no games. So what did they do? They started acquiring studios. Ever since 2017, they've acquired quite a few studios to add to their pretty lackluster studio lineup. On screen, you'll see this is what their lineup was pre-2017. Now, they only really had 5 studios, and these studios were the ones that were pretty much focused on making Halo, Gear, Forza, the triple threat that ended up carrying the Xbox One generation on its back. And now we have studios that are being added like Double Fine and World's Edge, NXile, The Initiative being created, Turn 10, Undead Labs, Obsidian Entertainment, Compulsion Games, Ninja Theory, Playground Games finally becoming a part of the umbrella after they were making the Forza Horizon game. And one of the biggest acquisitions of all time that at the time costed $7.5 billion, Bethesda, consists of Bethesda Game Studios, id Software, Tango Gameworks, Machine Games, Arcane Studios, ZeniMax Online, Alpha Dog, and Roundhouse Studios. And people were thinking, okay, that's a huge deal. But they weren't done. They ended up acquiring something even bigger than Bethesda, which was Activision Blizzard King. And with that, they ended up getting studios like Treyarch, Raven Software, High Moon Studios, Infinity Ward, Toys for Bob, Beanox, Sledgehammer Games, Digital Legends, Activision Shanghai Studio, Solid State Studios, Blizzard Entertainment, and King. But why are they acquiring all this? Why are they deciding now is the time to be purchasing and not just spending a couple $100 million here, a couple $100 million there, like a normal studios would cost? No, they're spending billions. In fact, Activision Blizzard King cost Microsoft $70 billion to purchase. And they're still currently going through that process. But the reason why they're purchasing all these studios is because of one thing: Game Pass. Xbox Game Pass is a Netflix subscription-like service that provides games to you. And these games include first-party games and up to 400 back catalog games of a wide variety of things. If you cannot find something that you would like on Game Pass, you would be considered the first person in history to ever not find anything that they would find fun off Game Pass. Game Pass has everything ranging from indie to AAA, have walking simulators to sport games to action adventure to racing. Whatever it is, it's in Game Pass. And because of the way that works, and because of companies not really believing in this, no one really wants to make a deal big enough to where they believe that their AAA game can be put in a service like this and pretty much given away for free and still make a profit. And so Xbox is kind of being forced to be in the position that they're in acquiring studios. And the thing is, in a recent interview, Phil Spencer himself even said, we are still not done expanding. We still want to be able to acquire in other regions that we are not strong in. So with Xbox acquiring so much, they went from Xbox has no games to Xbox is now a monopoly. And they're still not done. What's so crazy to think about is you look at where they were at in the Xbox One generation and how badly that was perceived, and how they go from that to we're going to sunset the Xbox brand to now having it be where they believe in Phil Spencer. They believe in the Xbox brand, and they believe in Xbox Game Pass. Xbox Game Pass in itself is its own entity. You're able to be excited about games coming to that platform, even though they might be old, because you might not have enjoyed it or been able to play it. So this brings a brand new situation to the Microsoft umbrella. All that to say this: Xbox has come a long way and is fighting the good fight and is trying to just continue to one-up PlayStation this generation. Earlier I talked about all the features that Xbox Series X and S have, and a lot of those are things that I feel don't get enough attention. You have backwards compatibility natively inside the console, so you could get your disc and put it in your Xbox and play it. And now there is a certain amount of games that you can do this with, and there's an approved list that you can look over and see. Not all games do this, but the ones that do, some of them even have enhancements. Xbox has created a FPS boost program that boosts some of these older games from 30 frames to 60 frames, or even in some cases 120 frames. Some of these games that initially ran at 720p are now able to be run at 4K. So it's pretty wild to be able to pop in Fallout 3 or Oblivion or Fable 2 or Fable 3 and play these games in 4K, and some of them at 60 frames per second. I would never have thought that I would be able to do something like that on a console. And here I am today doing exactly that. And that's not the end of the features. They also have Auto HDR, which brightens and puts a lot more colors into the games that you're playing automatically. Smart delivery. You're able to snap between multiple different games and continue from where you left off as if you never even stopped. You could pick up from Forza and go immediately into Halo, and then go into Call of Duty, and then hop back into Forza, all within 5 seconds of each other, and with the price tag. Now, the shoe is on the other foot. PlayStation just recently raised their prices on the PlayStation 5 in every other market other than North America. Now the PlayStation 5 is more expensive than the Xbox Series X. And if that is even too expensive for you, there's also an alternative plan with the Xbox Series S, a $300 device that does not do 4K 120 frames, but it will go up to 1440p 120 frames. And that box is surprisingly holding its own this console generation. There's even more. If you still can't pay for that, there is an all-access program. There are buyers that you could choose to buy from that are enrolled in this program, like Best Buy and GameStop and Verizon, where you pay a monthly fee and it's pretty much like layaway, except you take it home. And on top of that, you still get your Game Pass service with it. So there are so many different ways and different entries into the Xbox ecosystem. But if you also don't want to do that, and you say, forget it, I don't want an Xbox, I don't want a console, you don't need one. If you subscribe to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, you're able to play those games on your phone. You're able to go on your computer and pull up a browser and play those games off the browser. You don't need to be locked to your console anymore. They're even putting an Xbox Game Pass app on Samsung TVs to allow you to play through that, where you still don't need a console. All you need is just a controller. All these different options. It's amazing. And they're still cheaper than what PS5 is offering. You go and look at the games this console generation, and Xbox is delivering their games day and date into the service, into the Game Pass service. while also selling their games for $60. Whereas PlayStation is selling their games for $70. And Xbox has something called Smart Delivery, another feature where the Xbox is able to determine what system you're playing on and play the best compatible version for that game. No hassle. You were PlayStation, you have to realize what version of the game you're playing. You have to download the correct version in order to play the best version of that game if you have a PS5. And many people don't realize that. You get cloud saves for free. I could hop on my Xbox One, play whatever game, go into my living room, hop on my Xbox Series X and continue that game exactly from where I left off. Even on my 360, I could go to my Xbox 360, pop in a backwards compatible game in there, play on that, and then come back to my Xbox Series X and I could continue exactly where I left off. Or if I go to a friend's house or family member or wherever I am in the world, no matter where I sign in, I'm able to play where I left off. That's something that the PlayStation 5, you have to pay for. This console generation started out as something that a lot of people did not expect the Xbox Series X to be able to come back from that generation. And yet here we are, where Xbox and PlayStation are still selling out within hours of them hitting the shelves, if not minutes. And this is just the beginning. Xbox's 2023 is jam-packed with games like Starfield and Redfall and multiple games that are coming to the Game Pass service day and date of release. And they haven't even revealed most of the stuff they're doing yet. My closing thoughts are this: Xbox is not done. In fact, they're finally realizing that they could use their money to invest in themselves and actually have a good turnout. And 2023 and beyond is going to be crazy to see where they're heading and what all these studios that they now have will be producing. And with that, if you like what you saw here and you'd like to see more, please like, comment, and subscribe. And to have a discussion in the comments, tell me what was your favorite Xbox One and PlayStation 4 game last console generation. Thanks. I'll be seeing you next time.
Ride out with me. Ride out and meet them.
For death and glory.
For Rohan. For your people.
Look to my coming at first light on the 5th day. At dawn, look to the east. Yes. Yes.
The horn of Helm Hammerhand shall sound in the deep. One last time.
Thing I want you to know is this is about delivering great exclusive games for you that ship on platforms where Game Pass exists.
Eden King stands alone. Not alone. Rohirrim!
Xbox, go home.